What's up, cool people? My name's Matt, and I am once again going through an enemy list in an EDF game. This time it's EDF Insect Armageddon. I'm also going to be sort of comparing this game with EDF 2017. Those are the only two I've played thus far. I know there are more games in the series, but that's going to be the extent of my comparisons because that's all I've played. Now, right off the bat, I will say, gaining health and weapons and other things like that works quite a bit differently in this game. Weapons you might be able to get by just going back to different levels that you've beaten and completing them again. I'm not totally sure on that, honestly. But what I do know for sure is that, you can't just go back and just kind of unlimitedly, I don't know if that's even a word, but you can't just go back and get health drops from the missions with no limit to it. Your health is locked in to a certain maximum by whatever rank that you have. Oh yeah, and there's a ranking system that keeps you from getting certain weapons or other things within the game. The troop types. Oh yeah, there are troop types in this game. Didn't really have that in the previous one. Some of them have special abilities like flying or like an energy shield or other things like that. And, if you level up one type of troop, you're only leveling up that type. It doesn't go across different troop types all at once. Gameplay-wise, in terms of, the general way that it works is pretty much the same. You see bugs and robots and stuff, and you shoot them. But the way that you progress and upgrade and things like that is quite a bit different. There's also, the mission structure is somewhat the same, but it's also, kind of sectioned off into different chapters of the game. But anyway, shy of getting into the enemies, that's about all that I can think of that's a major difference between EDF 2017 and Insect Armageddon. So, I suppose then it's about time that we get into some of the enemies and maybe not so enemies and get into some of those comparisons. So, unsurprisingly, the first enemy on our list is your basic ant. This is reminiscent of the black ants in EDF 2017. This time, they look a little less black, maybe a little more brownish, but, I think that's just, they were going for a different look or a graphical update or something to that effect. But anyway, these behave much like the black ants in the previous game as well. They can bite, I think, although generally I didn't wind up staying still long enough for them to get a good chance at that. They are a bit more inclined to spit, though. Whatever the acid attack that they have is. You do find these, of course, right off the bat in the first mission. And a lot of subsequent missions. But the main concern is, once again, just getting too many of them around you. Even though they don't tend to be quite as plentiful as they were in the previous game, I think. But in any case, same general concern, same attacks, same general way of dealing with them. Just shoot them a lot. And not with explodey stuff if they get real close. Alright, I'm going to take a second to talk about anthills, because they're mentioned in, official enemy guides in this one. And I know for sure there's at least one mission where they will show up on the radar as, red dot enemies. Now, I don't recall them being counted as enemies in the previous game. And there's one notable difference between them, Last game, you could just shoot them like crazy and they would get destroyed. This game, yes, you can shoot them a lot and they will like temporarily stop spawning more enemies. However, you do also have to go up to them and plant a, charge bomb thing on them before they'll actually completely be gone. Now, you don't have to shoot them down and get them to stop spawning before you do that, but generally the issue is planting the bomb and actually fully destroying them, because if you take even a single hit while you're trying to plant that bomb, it resets that whole progress bar thing. But yeah, otherwise they're just anthills. They spawn enemies from the ground, and that's kind of all they do. Alright, back to another legitimate enemy that you find in the very first mission. Hectors. Yeah. They brought those out way earlier in this game. And they also work quite a bit differently. First off, they are way faster, more agile, and yeah, their movement is just so much greater than it was in the previous game. Plus, there's only, the only weak spot that they have is, on their chest area, or what looks like a chest. So, if you try and shoot them anywhere else, it's probably not going to do much, if anything. Maybe some explosive weapons will do damage from other angles, but really you pretty much have to hit them on the chest. In terms of their attacks, it's kind of similar to the previous game. They've got usually a rapid fire plasma cannon sort of thing. And then they also have some sort of charged attack that they can fire at you. So yeah, in that respect, they're pretty similar, but literally everything else about them is different. Alright, now we're on to the second mission in the game, and this one introduces a brand new enemy that was not featured at all in the previous game. And I just call them ticks. I think official guides might call them tick spiders. But basically, what they do is they're little tiny bugs that'll, relatively tiny, that'll crawl up on you and just try and explode. Literally while they're attached to you. So, think of sort of like Halo suicide grunts mixed with the head crabs from Half-Life. Or something to that effect. But anyway, yeah, these guys are an absolute pain. They're small, so they're kind of hard to hit. But they are weak. So, pretty much a single shot from anything will get rid of them. The problem is, when there's a lot of them, it's likely that one of them's going to get on your back, and then you have to, spam the Y button, at least on Xbox, to get rid of them before they explode on you. Plus, if you're trying to arm a bomb, revive an ally, or anything like that, these guys getting on your back are going to interrupt that and force you to get them off your back before you can do whatever you were trying to do. So, yeah, really annoying little buggers. And still in Mission 2, we have gunships. They definitely look and behave a little bit different than before. They used to be a whole lot more just kind of slowly floating around and firing little rapid-fire plasma bullets at you. These ones tend to move a bit quicker, and they fire more of a laser beam sort of attack for the most part. Still, generally speaking, missiles are going to be the way to take them down. Because, the homing will at least eventually get them most of the time. But, one other thing you got to worry about for these ones is that sometimes whenever they're close to dying, they will, like, kind of just lose control or whatever, wipe out, you might say. Anyway, they'll start, like, crash landing, and sometimes they can crash land in your direction, which I'm pretty sure that can deal damage if you get hit by that. But you can still shoot them a little bit more, and then they'll just completely explode before they land. So, yeah, that's still another thing you gotta watch out for with these enemies, though. Alright, on to Mission 3, and we've got carriers now. And they operate generally the same way that they did in EDF 2017. It's just, instead of one giant hatch, they kind of have two smaller ones instead. Strategy's still the same, though. You aim for the hatch whenever it's open and just shoot that, and eventually they'll explode and die. And they, of course, spawn enemies all the while. So, yeah, kind of annoying in that way. But supposedly, there's like an indicator light on them that'll give you an idea of how, how much health they have left. It seems more obvious to me on the hatches when they open up, like, as those lights get darker, the carrier is closer to dying. Supposedly there's another indicator light on there that does the same thing. I don't think it was as obvious on that one. So, either way, you're wanting to pay close attention to the hatches, for sure. So, Mission 3 also introduces spiders in this game. They are a lot like the spiders in the previous game, except these ones don't sling the webs around quite as much. Now, if you get hit with the webs, they do still slow you. They do not deal continual damage, or continuous damage, whatever. They don't do damage over time like they did in the previous game. So, honestly, that aspect of spiders is much less annoying in this game, and much less of a problem. However, these spiders seem a lot more jumpy. They're a lot more inclined to actually just jump directly at you and knock you over, deal damage that way, which, of course, is annoying because it interrupts whatever you're doing. Literally anything. Reviving, charging, even just shooting. Any of it gets interrupted because they literally knock you over. On to Mission 4 now, and we've got another new enemy type. These ones are like wasps, basically. They fly around, obviously, and can sting you. It seems like they might be able to do more than that, at least to your allies. Like, there's once or twice I recall seeing where it, like, specifically put an exclamation mark over an ally of mine when a wasp was right there, as if it, like, had hold of them or something. I'm not quite sure what the deal was with that, to be honest. I'm pretty sure these wasps can also, like, shoot some sort of projectile at you. I'm not totally sure what it's supposed to be, but in any case, yeah, these things can be kind of annoying, but they're usually very few. So, I mean, obviously missiles are a good idea, but for the most part, they're not going to present, like, any major problems. So there's a lot of other enemy types that I would kind of prioritize over and against getting rid of these guys. So now we get to Mission 5, and the first enemy big enough to get its own mission name. This one is, for kind of obvious reasons, called a Daddy Longlegs. It's like that type of spider, but absolutely huge and made of metal. Now, it has its own attacks, usually like lasers and stuff, that it can hurt you with on its own. It also spawns spiders. Yeah. That's fun. And with the spawning that it does, it works kind of similar to carriers in that way. where, like, it opens up a hatch, and in order to damage the daddy longlegs, you have to shoot the hatch. Can't shoot any other part of it, gotta be the hatch. So, yeah, that's all sorts of fun, especially if it does that in the midst of you trying to, like, avoid its other laser attacks and stuff like that. Alright, Chapter 2, Mission 1. Next mission after the daddy longlegs. We get this lovely thing, which is apparently known as a bomber spider. This thing is a major problem. Literally my first priority anytime I see it. Because it spawns those annoying little tick spiders that want to jump all over you and explode. So, yeah, plus, these things can, like, charge at you themselves and hurt you that way. They also, I think, like, as they're spawning the ticks, like, if you get hit with the, I don't know, orange goop or whatever you want to call it, that is the process of spawning those ticks, I think that can damage you too. But in any case, yeah, high priority target every single time. Like, I always went for them first because of how much I hate the ticks. And the big bugs just keep coming. Chapter 2, Mission 2, we've got something known as a mantis. Looks like a giant metal praying mantis. Surprise, surprise. Now this thing has 3 primary attacks. 1, it can jump at you. Well, 4, I guess, if you count the jump. It can jump at you. It does like a sort of clawing attack with its 2 arms. It also has a, like, kind of slashing ranged attack that looks like it took a giant sickle that has an extra, like, you know, push out from it with, like, a plasma arc or whatever. I don't know what you want to call that, but yeah, that kind of attack. And then, especially if you're up really close to it, it will just do, like, almost an EMP blast with itself as the epicenter. So, yeah, generally don't want to be right underneath this thing. And, yeah, otherwise, there's no special thing about this one. Even though it's all metal, there's no specific weak point. So just shoot it like crazy and generally try to stay away from it. Alright, so in Mission 3 of Chapter 2, we have metal spiders now. You know, it's pretty self-explanatory. They're spiders, but they're made partly, if not mostly, out of metal. They operate the same as the regular spiders. They're just tougher to get rid of. That's basically all there is to it. Alright, now here's another something that's more than just a little bit different from the last game. We have what is known as the Hector Mark II. It is as big as, if not even bigger, than the Hectors were in the previous game. But they're also way, way tougher. They've got a specific weak point on their chests, and it's not exactly a large one either. But, yeah, these guys can be quite a problem too. They've similarly got, like, rapid fire and charged up laser attacks that they can throw at you, but really the main issue is that they're just so much tougher. Now, they do move slower than the regular Hectors, so at least there's that, but still, it takes a lot to bring these guys down. So, yeah, that can be a bit of a problem. And rounding out Chapter 2, in Mission 5, we have metal ants now. Pretty much the same as the regular ants, but they're metal. Now, the thing is, the previous game had black and red ants, and the red ants never did a spit attack. This one decided, no, we're gonna keep the spit attack on the tougher ants too. So, yeah, that's a lovely thing to deal with. But otherwise, they're basically the same as the regular ants, except tougher. And as if we didn't have enough metal variants of enemies, in Chapter 3, Mission 1, we now get metal wasps. Again, same kind of deal as the regular wasp, but tougher. And I know for sure these ones shoot laser things at you. And one thing I haven't really been mentioning so much is I'm pretty sure all the attacks from the metal variants of these insects, yeah, the attacks all deal more damage too. It's not just that they're tougher, they also hurt more. So yay for that. Okay, now this might not always be officially listed as a different enemy type, but I noticed also in Chapter 3, Mission 1, you've got what I'm going to call a super carrier. It's like the other carriers, except it's bigger and tougher and has more hatches. The good news is that means you got more places you can hit it. The bad news is that also means it spawns more enemies. So yeah, can be quite a problem. But, you know, otherwise, same kind of deal. Shoot the hatches until it is gone. And we actually get a break from new enemies for a little while until Chapter 3, Mission 4, where we fight the Ant Queen. Ant Queen definitely works a little differently this time. Its attacks work different. It's not just some, like, radiating damage. I don't even know what that was in the previous game. I could hardly even see anything until it was dead. But in this case, it also has, you know, a massive army of ants that it constantly spawns around it. So that could be a bit of a problem. But main thing about the queen ant here is it's got at least 2 different weak points. And you have to take out both or all. I only remember 2 weak points. But in any case, you got to take out all the weak points. There's like one on its head and one kind of towards its back that I can remember. If you're shooting at a weak point and, like, you know, you get sidetracked and you shoot at it again and it's not, like, glowing, then it's gone. Move on to the next weak point. But yeah, otherwise, I think it pretty much just operates like a giant version of the regular ants. It will spit acid and stuff like that at you, I'm pretty sure. In fact, it's got a pool of acid around it, so you can't get too close to it. Not that you would want to. But yeah, that's pretty much how the queen ant works in this game. And of course, I can't leave this without mentioning the mothership. Although, this is not really a traditional enemy so much, because you can't actually destroy the mothership in this one. It just, there's no way. It doesn't give you that option. It can deal damage to you with, like, you know, kind of laser beam attacks that move throughout the level. But, yeah, you're not taking this thing down. And I think that's the point this time. It's like, they don't even bother counting it as an enemy because you can't do anything to it. But anyway, that's all about the mothership. So, I guess possibly, unfortunately, depending on your perspective and how much you like this certain type of enemy, this means there are no dino mechs in this one. No Godzilla-looking things. Which is a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, like, you've kind of got the Hector Mark II that serves as a similar level of threat. So, I don't know. Sort of a trade-off kind of thing. Also, while I'm thinking about it, almost forgot to mention, vehicles in this game are much easier to figure out how to get into, and they seem a lot more helpful in general. Like, there were a couple of missions that, especially the, like, you know, mech suit kind of things, seemed extremely helpful. And even the tanks, like, the first mission that had a Hector Mark II gave you a tank to work with. I was able to utilize that tank super duper well and like breeze through that mission because of it. As opposed to later on when I had to fight one of those without a tank, and it was quite an endeavor. But in any case, yeah, vehicles, very helpful in this game. Way more so than in EDF 2017. Just gonna point that out. Alright, well, that's gonna do it. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Give it a like if you did. Share it with others if you want them to see. There is still another EDF game that I have on my Xbox hard drive. It's going to be a while before I play it, though. I'm, like, really diving into all the Kingdom Hearts stuff for a while. But maybe after that I can get back to this stuff. I don't know. Anyway, if you have suggestions for other games you might want me to play, leave a comment with whatever you have in mind. Also, if you want to keep up with the latest stuff of mine, subscribe to the channel and click the bell here on YouTube. If you see me anywhere else, give me a follow or whatever you need to do there. Give a look down in the description for info on social media pages and other places to find and follow me that you might not have found me already. But yeah, I think that's pretty much going to do it. I can't really say too much about which game I liked better. I will say this one required a little bit more strategy. It was less, oh, just have the right weapon types, and more just like, okay, maybe get yourself up a rank, and also like really think strategically about what you prioritize. And of course, oh yeah, the revival thing was also quite helpful. That wasn't a thing in the last game. It's like if you ran out of health, you're done. There were probably more health drops, though. At least I seem to recall there being more. But, yeah. Having this system where you've got allies with you, I mean, that's kind of nice, too, to some effect, because, you know, you actually have other people that you can have helping you, potentially, actually, generally speaking, throughout the entire mission, and who, if you lose all your health, can come and revive you. And I'm sure in the multiplayer that's something that the players can do for each other as well. But anyway, I just remembered that difference between the games and thought I should mention it before I wrap things up. There's also a couple of different campaign modes in this one, so it changes things up a little bit more. But there also probably weren't quite as many different enemy types. But there also weren't as many missions. So, I think the focus in this one was more so, having different game modes to emphasize the replayability that way, rather than it just being, all right, we've got a bunch of different difficulties and just go through them all. And that's how you progress. Or that's what'll maybe keep people coming back. But anyway, okay. Pretty sure that covers everything. Let me know if I missed anything down in the comments. Apologies if I did, but, yeah. Anyway, okay. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you soon for another video. Whatever the case is, till next time, stay cool, people.